All right, we're back week 2 or episode 2 because this is a continuous show of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Corey, and I'm with the man of the hour, the former coach himself, now with the Rivals.com network for almost 2 years now, Clint Cosgrove. How we doing, my friend?
Couldn't be better, man. How are you doing, Corey?
I'm doing all right. Oh, my Wi-Fi is okay. Is it on my end? Anyways, we're good, man. I'm just trying to get you always the best intros possible every week. That's always my new thing. I'm trying to give you a better title, better stat lines to build our audience, But
hey, fake it till we
I had a
make
great
it,
time
man.
last week. It was fun.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Different setup now. I'm back in front of the backdrop, but yeah.
I'm gonna miss the palm trees. I'm gonna miss the flies, the gnats. You getting eaten by mosquitoes. That was the game changer of this podcast last episode.
It was. We brought the elements in, man.
All right. So what's going on with the Midwest? What's going what we got here? I think you were telling me off the pod, the receivers have been blowing up. And I feel like that's the case every week and every ranking cycle. It's like what receivers coming out of the Midwest, who is Midwest boom developing right now? What's happening over there?
Yeah, it is wild because I know everybody thinks the Midwest is all about the big uglies up front, but there's been like an unprecedented run on receivers. I don't think we'll see what we see in this 2024 class like on the regular, but it's been interesting to see how it's developed. I do think 7-on-7 coming to the Midwest. You mentioned boom. The development of receivers is far and above what it has been in the past. I remember getting to college. I couldn't get off the press. I don't think I ever got off the press, but I had never seen it before. So it's a different ball game. But that I think it's going to be a big topic this upcoming rankings week. We're going to be talking everything and anything. We're getting down to crunch time with this 2024 class. Who's going to be number one overall? There's a debate there. I think last year it was from start to finish. It was all arch, but this year, as good as the guys have been, like Raiola and Jeremiah Smith and Williams Nwaneri, there's going to be a lot of questions. But as far as the Midwest receivers go, I mean, Ryan Wingo, Texas commit, he's the only 5-star right now. He's the highest ranked of the group, but there's 8 Rivals 250 receivers. Right behind him is Ohio State commit Mylan Graham. Dude is a slippery route runner, can take the top off. We all know what Ohio State receivers do. Now, we touched on it last week, but Notre Dame receiver, Cam Williams. Have you watched this film at all, Corey?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we posted about him a couple times. He's a big boy.
Dude, his development, absolutely remarkable. He looks college ready right now. I mean, he's got an argument for being the top receiver in the region, even with Wingo up there. Now, Wingo's upside is probably as high as any, but I don't think Cam Williams is too far behind him. Same thing with Mylan Graham. I mean, these are good receivers. You got Nitro Tuggle, who was supposed to go to IMG. They wouldn't take senior transfers this year, so he stayed in Northwood in Indiana. He's a big play machine. With Jeremiah McClellan right after him. Now, in my opinion, McClellan is the most college-ready probably of the entire group. He's probably the surest thing. The dude knows ball. He's a phenomenal route runner. He separates at the point of attack. He's faster than you think. You got Nicholas Marsh, who's still committed to Michigan State despite everything going on there. I think that's where the heart is. It'll be interesting to see as all these receivers come off the board. There's gonna be a premium on him. Michigan commit Amarion Stewart. He's probably the best I saw in person this year as far as like a performance. Everything he caught, he was taken to the house. The Michigan coaching situation could make things interesting there. Then you got his Kyan Barry Johnson, another Midwest boom guy. Guy's a slot machine, catches every ball his way. So, I mean, he's going to be extremely productive. I really don't know how we're going to order all these guys come to rankings meetings, but I know you're going to be popping in, Corey. You've seen a couple of these guys in person. Where do you sit with them?
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. I mean, my favorite time of year is always the rankings meetings. They're always a blast for everyone, but I am excited for across the country, like the strength of that position and how, like, I actually am looking forward to the debates within the national analyst group about, because before it's kind of like, oh, what's happening in Florida and what's happening in California. Now it's like we got big Texas receivers, we got Midwest receivers, we got guys out in the Northeast. Like, everyone's got players now that really challenge our national staff. And I remember a lot of the, like we talked about last week, I remember a lot of the Midwest guys when we had a Rivals camp out there. They made a lot of lasting impressions. I mean, Nitro was like, as I'm on the social team here at Rivals, he was very cooperative with us to do any sort of the route runnings that we want, any of the big plays, anything on camera, and like that obviously goes a long way with me. Just to root for a person and root for an athlete. But
Yeah,
I'm
he's a good
always
dude too.
for everything. Oh yeah, I mean, all these kids are great. Even the ones, I mean, Jeremiah Smith has been great to us. You know, like Cole has went down there and seen
That dude can play.
Smith.
Yeah, he's special.
I haven't seen a talent like that in a long time. But the guy that's actually growing on me is the Texas Tech commit. Cole Patterson's been seeing a bunch right now. He's electric with the ball. I didn't realize how dynamic he was after the catch, or even how explosive he is within his route running. I mean, obviously we always had him as a 5-star. So what it is, we just never really seen him on film before. I mean, me personally, and he's just been making plays after plays after plays. It's going to be a really challenging and probably really long phone calls and meetings for you guys, but I am excited to see what kind of comes in play, because there are a lot of guys that, like you said, it's going to be hard to slot everyone. And I know they try to balance out all the positions, but at some point you just got to rank them where they are ranked. You know, thankfully with 4 stars, it's kind of the same mindset, but it's fun. I mean, I think it's actually gonna be a really fun recruiting cycle and recruiting debates. And there's a lot of our staff right now is very passionate about the regions in good ways. And I think it'll be fun debates.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. We'll see how long it takes before, can we move on? Can we move on? You know, we're going to have a lot of the same situations over and over. There's just so much to like. I guess it's a good problem to have. You know, sometimes we look at positions and we're like, what do we do here? Because there's, you know, it's just not what it should be. But, you know, receivers is going to be a good one for sure. And I think, you know, there's a chance that Jeremiah ends up #1 overall, even though I think the last receiver to get picked #1 overall was at 97 or 96, Keyshawn Johnson.
No. Oh, in the NFL draft or for Rivals?
Yeah. No, in the NFL draft.
I don't remember. I see in Rivals it was Green Beckham, the Missouri receiver that ended up going to Oklahoma. That was that's one of my earliest memories of Rivals. I wasn't obviously on staff, but it's one of my first memories of like a big recruit, and he was blowing up everywhere. He was making crazy plays back in the day. But I'm in I was gonna say though, like how you mentioned about like some of those positions, I think sometimes I'll give credit to the national staff. I think you guys just kind of get it right early, and it's just kind of hard to even debate moves, because either one, you guys just got it right, or just there's nothing to really do. I mean, like, or there's not enough prospects. I mean, a position that I always like that makes me laugh is the center position in high schoolers, because not many kids end up being a center right away. They kind of develop into that with their college and what the needs are at the next level. But it's my favorite position because generally it's about 10 players. And it's like, did anyone randomly move to center that we don't know about? Like, no. Does anyone? And then obviously we'll move a couple guys up and down or whatever. But it's my favorite position because, one, it's the fastest. And two, it's a position that just kind of makes me laugh. Because, I mean, personally, I played center in high school. I was not very good. That's why
you played center.
I did. I was not very big or strong, but I did because it was a position of need. And for some reason, their logic was I played baseball as a kid and I played in high school as well. So their thought was I at least had hand-eye coordination to snap the ball. So that was freshman year.
That's a real thing, dude. That is a real thing. And you see the field, you know, center's the only position that has to be like a quarterback on the offensive line. So, and there's not a lot of true centers at the high school level. I mean, these guys are playing tackle a lot of the time. I would imagine half the guys that we have listed at center maybe don't even end up playing center. It's really hard to project. You know, a lot of your guards and your tackles end up playing center in college. So there's not a lot of true centers just because it's a very specific skill set. And, you know, you can't be rattled. It's almost like playing defensive back. You got the crowd going nuts, and you know, they got to communicate where the mic is a lot of the time. They're communicating with the rest of the offensive line. false starts do not look good on centers. You got to have a short memory. So I agree with you on that one, man. And you don't see a lot of highly ranked centers either.
No, because they obviously everyone wants to try to play tackle or whatever. But I was gonna say the hardest thing for me, what I remember was shotgun snap. I don't know why, like, and even everyone on my team, other people, there were so many bad shotgun snaps, and maybe it's just more common now because of the style of play. But like guys like Jason Kelsey impresses me every time. He can pull and snap at the same time, shotgun snap, and it blows my mind. And I do have to tell a funny story about the mic check. So I was a young, dumb, and naive, and that was always my favorite thing. Was they said the center has to be the smartest person on the line, and I said I think I'm the wrong guy for this job. But I always used to see the guys on TV go, they're always calling out like 52 the mic, but I'm also deaf, so I have no idea what they're saying. So I would just be in the game being like, watch him or whatever. And I remember we played
that dude.
Yeah, and I was like, watch him. He's like, yeah, you better watch me. And he just blitzed and blew me up. And I was like, I never did it again.
We got to pull up the film, man.
No, that was like sophomore year. I was too try hard to be like a pro, but that was like I'll always remember that moment of that guy being like, yeah, you better watch me. I was like, I just got punked. And
it's like the program. It's like, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's my favorite. I have a lot of good football stories, but yeah, that's the center position is one I always watch out for. But no, it's the rankings are going to be fun. I think our basketball one comes out. It's a very, very busy time of year over here at Rivals, or just the recruiting world. It's a fun time, but it's hectic, and I guess that's why we're in this world, because we like chaos. It. But like,
no matter how you feel, you better be ready for the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was actually going to ask you, speaking of like kind of like our rankings, what's the deal with the big lineman out by you, Williams Nwaneri? He's a monster. I mean, we got some clips, but it just seems like everyone wants them and everyone needs them. Like Oklahoma, Missouri, those are team sites there. Like those fan bases are very, very passionate. I feel like was it Eli, the head coach of Missouri? I think, did he take a helicopter there to go see him one time? I mean, people are pulling out stops, and I mean, is there even a chance? I mean, I know he's a 5-star for us. Is there a chance that he can even push for the number 1 spot? Like, I know we talked about Jeremiah. I mean, this guy's a monster.
I mean, for me, I'm right. Like, I don't think this will be a popular opinion necessarily, but I'm ready to make him number 1. And the reason being is there's 2 very good quarterbacks. I mean, there's multiple very good quarterbacks, but Raiola and Sayin, there's not like, I know when we walk into that meeting, there's going to be varying opinions about which of those guys is number 1, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have a clear-cut number 1 at quarterback, and we look at the draft almost every year, it's a quarterback that goes number 1. But in the last 10 years or whatever, like the 3 times that it wasn't a quarterback, it was a defensive lineman. And to me, and you got guys like Colin Simmons. There's a lot of good defensive linemen. David Stone, but Nwaneri, his upside as a defensive end, we're talking, in my opinion, Mario Williams type. I mean, big time, number 1 overall draft pick potential. The guy's 6'6", 260. I remember the first time I went to the school to see him. He had just, picked up Penn State. He was starting to blow up. And I remember leaving. I was like, this kid's a 5-star all day. Talking to the coach, he wasn't even going to play football. He was like a basketball player. And they saw him in the lunchroom, had him come out. And then his rise was pretty quick once people caught on. And we're like, this guy's new to football and he's doing what he does. I mean, he's got, the size of a 3 technique, the strength of a strong side defensive end. He's got the athletic ability of a rush end. He runs like a skill kid. His straight line speed's incredible. And he's got incredible length. And so even at a raw stage of their career, and a lot of these young defensive linemen are still growing into their bodies, especially the guys who are extremely long like Williams is, and still learning the game. And for him to do what he does and use his hands and beat people with speed and go speed to power just naturally, like when he gets developed, he's going to be an absolute monster, and if he does stick with Missouri, he's going to be an instant impact guy. He's a guy you get on the field right away. He can be a 3-down player. You can kick him inside to rush the passer. He can be an interior pass rusher. He's disruptive. He's explosive off the ball. You can put him in a wide 9. He's going to rush the passer. He can beat you with speed, but then he's going to be a guy who big offensive tackle. He goes from speed straight to power. He can long arm and straight into the quarterback. And to me, if you have a question of who the top quarterback is, and you got to say who is our top defensive lineman, and I love Jeremiah Smith. I think he's generational talent at wide receiver. But we go back and we talk about what are we judged on, and it's judged on the NFL draft. And I just think Williams is that guy if there's a question at quarterback number 1. So to me, I'm going to put in for it. I don't know if it will happen. But to me, Williams has every argument to be made for him to be the top player in the nation.
Yeah, well, you heard it first. I'm just kidding. No, I was going to ask you about Williams because of his size and frame at such a young age. He's going to develop, put on weight, either and all more muscle, or all these athletes are already sadly crazy develop, but there obviously is room to develop. Will he? What do you think the projection is of him on the line? Is he like a 3? Is he a 5? Or I guess for the listener and viewers of this show, is he going to be kind of like more on the inside of the guard when he's lining up on the outside? Is he going to play the end? Is he going to play right over the center on that 0 nose guard? I guess at that 6'6" frame, my first guess is he's probably going to be a 5 technique right on the outside of the guard.
Yeah, I think so. But I think what makes him special is he can play any of those spots. Like his bend for his length, like he could line up over the center. You think of the guys, those interior defensive tackles who do bring a little dancing bear in pass rush. They're usually the 315-pound, 6'1", 6'2", Aaron Donald type. But like, he's that guy. He can fire off the ball. He can get underneath the center, believe it or not, because he can bend. But then you talk about his ability to, to hold the edge, to take on double teams, to blow up blocks. His block destruction is incredible. To use his hands to keep, tackles at bay. Tackles can't get hands on him because he's so long. And so I do think he ends up probably as an outside guy, but his value is he can play anywhere across the defensive line. He fits in any scheme. You look at NFL 3-4, he can play across the line. You look at an underfront, he can play anywhere across the line. This is a dude who can, he can two gap, he can, he can take on anything. And I wouldn't put anything past him. He's just scratching the surface of what he can be. And the way these guys are getting paid and the way they're getting drafted in the NFL, I just think he's the next great one. And there's a lot of great defensive linemen, but I think he's just scratching the surface. And to me, the value comes that if he's not the prototype at one position or doesn't develop the way you think he does, he's going to be the prototype at another. He's going to develop just fine. So to me, he can play anywhere across the board. I think he's an outside guy to start, but scheme wise, he can play in any scheme, and that's what makes him special.
He seems like a dream for defensive coordinators that want to rush 3 at a time. Just.
Oh yeah,
he's one of the 3. I don't know where he's playing, but he's he's gonna be one of the 3. And that's
and it's hard. Yeah, no, and it's hard to scheme against that because you do your protections based off certain guys. Maybe you're turning the protection towards somebody. Well, if you don't know where he's going to line up in a third down pass rush situation, you can't. They're calling, like you were saying, calling out the mic. They might be calling out the protection where he lines up. And there's a lot of unknown going into it. So schematic versatility is what he brings to the board. And to me, he's a terror. He's going to be a terror. He's going to be a special player. And there's so much upside there.
No, it's great. And that's funny that you say like they're calling out or possibly like scheming against. I know you, we go to football games throughout the year. And my favorite's when you go see an athlete and they know you're there. And after the game, they're like, oh, sorry, like this wasn't my day or whatever. It's like, look, I know we're behind the scenes, but I understand that they're going away from you. You're the best athlete on the field. So it's like I almost feel bad for you that like it's like when baseball, when they intentionally walk you, it's like a pride thing. You should be like, it's a respect that like, they don't want to go after you. And like I said, like, I know we're behind the scenes, but we understand when they're going away from you, and sadly, I'm out here on the SoCal circuit. So we have the Trinity League. So every athlete like right now on the field is D1 caliber. So you never see it there, but some of the littler schools, but it's crazy how much like even high school coaches will always avoid. And I've seen it with safeties. It's like, it's not even the linemen or they're going away. It's like the safety who's almost just playing, just single back, like playing center field, they're actively trying to avoid it. They're just doing little slants and screens, like no deep balls, and they're just like, my favorite's like the athlete's like, oh, sorry, wasn't my day today. It's like, I think it was, because out of respect, they didn't want you to play.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you could take away the side of a fielder, like I remember going to watch Malachi Coleman, and I as a senior, and they had three guys, or they had a safety over the top, a corner on the outside, and like a linebacker nickel type on the inside. And it's like, of course, as a head coach, they're just going to throw it the opposite way because you've got numbers, and it doesn't matter how. I was like, he's going to do way better in college just because of that. And he's proven to be an impact player right away, because you can't do that in college. You can't take three guys to take away one guy, where you can do that in high school. And then, a lot of parents and stuff, they get mad about their age. They're like, oh, my kid's stats were way better than so-and-so's. Well, it's like, stats don't matter when it comes to a dude taking away the entire side of a field. I would hope the guy who's going, one versus, when the numbers are better, that they're going to have better stats. So, yeah, there's always interesting debates when it comes to all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's fun to go. I mean, just follow all these guys and the schemes and kind of project. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm a giant depth chart guy every year, and projections and mock drafts. So it's fun on like my end on the social media side, because it's like when I'm making the cool film and just kind of like picturing them and whatever scheme and how fast you think they're going to play. And thankfully, in the times that we live in, guys like Williams, who, if they're ready, whatever school he decides, all that, like there's a chance they'll play right away, which is, I know, like in certain eras and people in our lives, they think that's the craziest thing, that a true freshman's going to play, and which is wild to say true freshman, coming off all that other stuff. But it's a fun time that these guys can come in and go quick, so.
Oh, for sure. And in this day and age, I mean, even if they're not 100% ready, and even if there's pros all along the board, like the best thing you can do on the defensive line is rotate guys as much as possible. So even if he is not the dude right away, no matter where he ends up, especially at Missouri, like he's going to come in and there's going to be a package for him no matter what. This is a guy who hits the field and plays right away. So there's very few schools that are sitting there and trying to keep guys on the bench when they're going to be leaving to the NFL in 3 years, no matter what. So,
yeah. All right, I got to ask you, because, it's in the hometown. I know what's today, Wednesday. It's going to, I don't know, this podcast will come out maybe Thursday or Friday. But anyways, the big news, Northwestern officially hires Braun. What's your take on it? I mean, I know you got some personal things. I'm sure you're going to write some stories about it. Unbelievable facilities up there. I mean, it's always a fun team to root for. What's going on? What are your thoughts on it? I know it's kind of new in our minds, but talk to me, Coach.
I think it's a home run, to be honest. Like, it's not your splash hire. Northwestern doesn't need to make a splash hire. When Fitzgerald took over there, he was 31 years old. He only had a couple years coaching experience, and look what he did there. Now, Braun is a guy. Think about this. The dude, his biggest job was North Dakota State's defensive coordinator. Okay. And he did that for 2 or 3 years. He was Northern Iowa's recruiting coordinator and defensive coordinator before that. And I worked with him when I was scouting. And so I knew when they brought him in and they said they were going to keep the staff, he was the only one, if they had these allegations, if they were true or whatnot, not trying to downplay anything or say who knew what. I'm not getting involved in that. But he was the one guy from the outside, so he couldn't have been a part of what was going on before. And so they name him the head coach. And I remember talking with the guys on the Northwestern board, and I was like, it might not be your splash. It might not be a guy who has head coaching experience, but talk about a guy who's ready for the moment. This is him. Braun is a cerebral guy, extremely organized, connects well. He's a phenomenal recruiter. He's extremely intelligent, and he had success everywhere he went. And you look at the resume and it might not line up to what you would think is the next head coach of Northwestern, but then he walks into an extremely tumultuous situation. He gets thrown into the Big Ten media days, answering questions about stuff he probably doesn't know anything about, handles it like a champ, goes into the season. They're coming off a horrible year, and Fitzgerald was a great coach coming off a horrible year, and they're 5-5 now. So this guy somehow got a group who was supposed to do nothing. I think their over on wins was 3 or 4, and I picked under going into the season. He's got them 5-5. They take Iowa down to the wire. They beat Wisconsin, and this team really rallied behind him. And I think this is something for programs to take notice of. This guy had never been a head coach. Some of your best head coaching candidates, in my opinion, they don't even have to be coordinators. I mean, PJ Fleck, the dude was never a coordinator. He's a leader of men. People, they get fired up playing for him. And a guy like Braun, it doesn't surprise me that he had the success. What does surprise me is that he's done it under the circumstances that he did. And just what I knew from him going into this, and I've known him for years now, more on the recruiting side because I used to do scouting with him and talk with him, but we would talk ball, and I'm always like, whoa, how has this guy not gotten a bigger job? How is he not at a bigger school? And then he gets that opportunity, and they were kicking butt at North Dakota State. They kicked butt at Northern Iowa. There's a reason he was a phenomenal coach at the FCS level for some of these teams who would smack some of these FBS schools in the face. But I think big things will come with him. I think he's going to do a great job recruiting. He's going to continue what Fitzgerald did. I think he's going to be an up and coming name in 2 or 3 years from now, maybe even after next year. There's going to be people who are going to say, this might be the guy we want for some of these big time coaching jobs. And so, I think a little too much gets played into where has this coach been and what have they done where they've been? Because, it's a lot easier to go and coach at Alabama, coach receivers there, or coach receivers at Ohio State than it is to go and coach D-line at North Dakota State and end up as a Power 5 head coach. But I think it's a great hire. They didn't have the pressure to make a splash like some of these other schools. Northwestern has phenomenal facilities. The academics speak for themselves. He's on their level, intelligence-wise, what they're recruiting there. And I just think it's a great hire. There was no reason to go outside. And I think Braun's going to do a great job. I'm excited to see what he does there. And I'm excited for him. This is a guy who deserved an opportunity, took advantage of it when he got it, and he's run with it without question. Sorry for my rant.
No. I was happy to listen, and believe me, it was a lot better than what I would have to say because I don't have. Sadly, I have not watched too much Northwestern, so I was not super familiar with the hire. I was happy that they found someone, and it's a guy that's already shown, like how you say, he's proven to turn the program around. I do enjoy that program. Like so, the facilities are always top notch. Of like what they look like, the players seem to like it. It's a tough school, very prestigious. So I'm happy that they at least figured out something because that had a situation to be a disaster of going through a lot of coaches and a lot of bad years. And I think Braun's, going to help them get out of that. So anyways, let's just continue on that coaching train. I mean, what's the biggest news? What, like Texas A&M, of course, is the next big one. One of my favorite stories to come out of this week was one of our colleagues, Adam Gorney, said, should Texas A&M hire Dion? I mean, personally, I doubt they'll ever make that kind of move. And I don't know if Dion, but, money talks. They seem to not care what the money is, and they just want to win football games. I don't know. I think you and I kind of talked. I think we have the same kind of idea of what they're actually going to hire, but I love that take of Dion just because, one, he brings the name, he brings the bag, and he brings he puts people in the stands, and I don't know what's going on. I know he likes Colorado. It's just an interesting take, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think Gordy's spot on. Like, yeah, he would do phenomenal there. Like, I don't know anybody who's been to Texas A&M. So in 2006, when I was on staff in Nebraska, we played at Texas A&M. I had no clue what I was walking into. I was in the press box, doing down and distance coverages and all that stuff. But that press box is like 300 feet in the air. And that stadium was rocking. And they do this thing where they go back and forth in the press box. You're so far. It's almost like watching that old little game where the magnet football players were rumbling. That's how small they look down there. And that press box is, I remember Jay Norvell is the head coach of Colorado State. Now he is our offensive coordinator. Zach Taylor was our quarterback, the head coach of the Bengals. And the game was over. We're packing up our stuff. We block a field goal. And then Zach Taylor takes us all the way down the field with like 36 seconds left and we end up winning. In that place, I was like, this is the coolest environment I have ever been to at the time. And I was like, I always want to come back as a fan. My dad coached there a few days later. I went down, I flew in, I was there for less than 24 hours, went to a game, got to be on the field, and is like, this place is special. It's the house that Johnny built, but it's a sleeping giant. There's a lot of pressure there. It's a little off the beaten path. So a guy like Dion, I do think, he could bring in, like, everything's in place for them to win. Now, there is a lot of pressure. It's kind of a fishbowl, so that makes things harder. But I think Dion kind of alleviates that stuff because he takes the pressure off the players and puts it on himself. So I think he would be a phenomenal hire. I don't know if Dion's trying to do that, to leave Colorado just to go there and, yeah, they're going to pay him, but does he want to get paid less than Jimbo made? Like, that's not Dion's style. Am I going to go for less than the bag that the dude who just didn't win made? Like, I don't see it happening. Would it be a great hire? I think so, but I just don't see it. And Corey, I mean, do you see it? And if not, what direction would you go?
I don't see it. I mean, Dion's done great things, and like as he said, his dog's there, he pays taxes there, and I don't think he's gonna leave unless I think it's gonna be a pro job if he leaves. And I'm not saying that he has pro jobs lined up or anything like that, but I think he has it too made right now in Colorado. He can do whatever he wants. Style, like he's got it situated. He knows what he's doing there. He's got the family there. And yeah, like he would be a great hire there, and it would bring a lot of buzz. A lot of players want to be there. They've already had well-established recruiting classes in the past, even without having him there. But I just don't think it's very realistic. And I'm kind of with the media side of like the everyday fans is like, is he really going to go without his sons? He tends to kind of go where his sons are. So it's like, I think the next job will be a pro job because it's where his sons are. And otherwise he'll just stay in Colorado and do his thing. But I do have to ask you, I mean, I won't hold you to it, but what would be your guess? Just real quick, like you're in Vegas, they got the odds, and who you taking? I mean, who you taking right now is just like your quick guess, so like that they're really going to hire.
I haven't even looked at the odds yet. Do you know who is the odds on favorite, Corey?
I don't. I feel like from what I'm reading, and you and I have kind of talked about it, I think the Duke coach is the one that the fans and everyone's been reading about. Elko, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's the one that I've been seeing a lot. I always see Lanning, and he obviously talked about how he's not going anywhere. And I don't blame that. I think he's in the same situation as Dion. I mean, yeah, it's good money, but you got that night money, you got he's used to it. I mean, Eugene's an interesting place, but he's got it kind of made up there. He knows he's got his thing. I heard someone, I can't remember who said it, but you never know, because I know like SC got Lincoln last year and he wasn't even in any list, and all of a sudden they got him. So you never know who's going to come. They got the money, but the names that they're throwing out, I don't see it. And I mean, how much money do they really have? So they might have to go for a guy that's just ready for the show, not the guy that's already been in the show,
Dude, I mean, they have money for days. Like literally that, whatever, 100 million, 70 million, whatever it is, the buyout for Jimbo. One of the guys who writes the checks down there is an oil guy. And depending on the price of oil, he makes or loses that much money in a single day, like literally. So depending on futures and all that stuff. So when you put it in that perspective, I mean, money's not the issue, but like at what point are you not getting a return on your investment? I mean, national championships, I mean, if you care about the program, well, then a national championship is priceless, obviously. But I don't, like the money's not going to be an issue. It's just like, do you pay it just to pay it? And I don't know if you do. And we've proven that money doesn't guarantee anything. And you talk about Prime before, and I'll move on from Prime in a second, but like I could see him going to Arkansas before I could see him going to Texas A&M. Arkansas is a better, situation. Like it's not sky high standards right away. Jerry Jones, his man down with the Cowboys, isn't afraid to write a check either. And I could see him wanting him to go to Arkansas. So Arkansas job's not open yet. So I'll put that in the bank. But if I'm looking for a guy who's had proven success, no matter where he goes, I'm saying, well, one, Kyle Whittingham, to me is maybe the best head coach in college football, but he's older. I think he's established at Utah. Does he want to do that? Probably not. So then I look at, all right, who's a guy who wins no matter what? And that's Kalen DeBoer, head coach of Washington. His career record, this is ridiculous, is 111 or something like that. I believe it's 111. All right. Now, a lot of that was at NAIA, okay, at Sioux Falls, where he won national championships. He was also a baseball player and a football player there. Kalen is a friend of mine. He's a phenomenal coach. All the guy does is win. And there's something about him that it doesn't matter the environment. His skill set as a coach, his ability to put together a program carries over. Doesn't matter the division, doesn't matter the stage, doesn't matter what it is, the region. Like he's a Midwest guy, and he goes out to Washington and turns them around right away. So I think he's a guy who go down there and find a way to win in a fishbowl type environment where there's a lot of pressure. You look at his 111 record, 3 of those losses was during a 3-3 COVID year at Fresno State. Take that out. He's 97 and 8. So I just think he's phenomenal. And then you talk about the OC. You can bring Grubb, who's with him, or to me, a guy who's also was at Fresno State and has some experience at Washington is Kirby Moore, the offensive coordinator at Missouri. Now he'll be in line for a head coaching job, but look at what he's done there. I mean, their running back at Missouri is leading the SEC in rushing. I believe the guy's hitting holes. They're scheming up. I know duo's a big play that they love to run there, which almost looks like a zone blocking scheme, but it's a man blocking scheme. I don't want to get too far in depth, but this guy knows how to call some ball. And that their running back was a Division II player, walk on. That's an absolute stud right now. And so you talk about maximizing the potential. Brady Cook, he was still developing, but all of a sudden he's a stud. Luther Burden, get him the ball, but also use him as a decoy. This guy knows how to build offenses. And then, obviously Kalen knows how to build offenses as well. He brings Penix with him. Look at Indiana's one phenomenal year, was when DeBoer was the offensive coordinator at Indiana before he took the Fresno State job. So to me, he's a guy who wins no matter what, no matter the circumstances, can recruit anywhere, and just is a guy that people want to play for. And then if we're making out a staff and go DC, I'm going to throw one off the wall, but a guy who you could pay, almost like Colorado did with Sean Williams this year, would be, Kane Womack, the head coach of South Alabama. To me, that'd be kind of like a dream team of head coach coordinator hire. And I think that's something that you could actually do from a schematic and financial standpoint. If you had to put together your dream team stat, and we don't have to do the whole thing, but I mean, like head coach coordinators, Corey, where are you going?
That's tricky. I mean, with Texas A&M, like, I don't know if this staff would work, but if I'm just building a dream one, I'm going old school. I'm picking some, I'm going a quick turnaround style, and I want some young guys to recruit. But I want as the head, I want Mac Brown. I want the head coach. I want a guy I want a proven winner, and I want a guy that just lets my coordinators do their thing. I want a timeout guy. I want a leadership. I want a guy that's it. Like before the game, it's like, everyone like all rise, like Mac Brown's here, and he's got the Jordan brand, I want that. And I'm going Madden style. Like I want everything that doesn't make sense. You know what? Offensive coordinator, I want to go Dana Holgerson. Did I say it right?
Oh, yeah. You're saying head coach of Houston right now. He might be looking.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think he's if he got the chance and he's got the money, they're paying coordinators good now. And they can make a good run. And then coming off that big air raid offense, they're going to score points. And you know what? With the defense, I need a guy that's going to not put points on the board. I'm going the Iowa defensive coordinator, Phil Parker. They're hitting the under every week, and the under line is what, like 28 every week? I'm taking that as much. It is the most odd coaching staff ever, but guess what? We're going to win ball games. It's probably going to be about 64-4, but we're winning championships. And it's going to be a short run, and Dana's going to get another job. And Phil's what, 60? So he's got a couple good years 60. Left in him, maybe 10, 15 more years. But obviously, if we're making a powerhouse, as myself as the young athletic director of whatever school I'm at, but I'll have my rings, and it's a hodgepodge group, But
I love it.
Coordinators. I mean, I would have the young bucks do the recruiting, let my let my coaches. Who used to say that back in the was it Muschamp? Was it one of the old Florida coaches used to be like, I just want to coach. I just want to play ball. I don't want to recruit. Spurrier. I want those guys, and I'm getting the young bucks to get the guys there. But I want my
Jed Fish is a Spurrier disciple. Look at what he's doing in Arizona. We talked about that last week. So
absolutely,
I think you're onto something, Corey. You're my AAD hire, Corey. You're my AD hire.
I don't know how many games we're going to win, but you're
going to win games.
And I don't know what conference we're going to play in with that strategy because, but it's I want to score points. I want to give up just a little, so I'm going to the source. I ain't messing around. I ain't going for these young hires. You know,
I love it, man.
Let's figure it out. I want
guy looking for some vets. He wants championships. I love it, Corey. You're my AD, man. You're my AD all day, every day.
Well, if I need you're my first hire, a DB coach. I just want to let you know.
Hey,
head recruiting coordinator or DB coach. I'll give you. Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Well, I guess we'll just wrap it up early. We're at 40 minutes. That's a good podcast.
Yeah, that's a long one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it short for you. I don't want to ramble too much for you.
Yeah, I can barely talk right now, so I'm running out of words. I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely. Well, let me get our names up there as always. Let's see here. Oh shoot, there we go. Did it come up? Oh, I'm not on my producer level today. All right. Anyways, we'll follow us all our handles. Rivals Clint, Rivals Corey on everything. Please follow any of the stories that Clint comes out this week. Please like, subscribe, and turn on any of the notifications so you don't miss another episode of Coach's Corner. Once again, I'm Corey Gibson. That's Clint Cosgrove. This has been another Coach's Corner. See y'all next week. Thanks, Clint.
See ya. Thank you.